Welcome back, Seahawks, to another edition of Seahawk Central News, your source for the latest in local news and entertainment. I'm Anna Phillips.
And I'm Suzuki. This week, we take a look at the DWI investigation of a local officer and an interesting creature found aboard an international flight.
We'll also be showing how the potential government shutdown could affect you directly. Stay tuned because Seahawk Central News starts right now.
Holden Beach's residents experienced some rough early morning weather when an EF0 tornado hit the island this past Sunday, September 22nd. The EF0 tornado fell into the weakest class on the enhanced Fujita scale with a maximum wind of 65 miles per hour. The tornado first touched down on the island at 4:39 a.m. near Fayetteville Street north of Holden Beach Road for approximately 1 minute. It continued on to McLam Street, uprooting several trees and lifting a screened-in porch from its foundation. The tornado ended its path at Lakeside Drive Southwest, knocking down trees before lifting over a pond on the north side of the road. Cleanup began on Monday.
An investigation is currently underway on the nature of the DWI citation Leland Police Officer Paul O'Connor received last week. Several citizens made calls to the Pender County Sheriff's Office to report a driver being all over the road on Saturday. Officials pulled the truck over only to discover it was a fellow police officer driving. Initially thinking he was impaired, they administered a breathalyzer test which was negative and then took him to the hospital where he was diagnosed with a concussion. He had fallen the day before on the job while serving a warrant. O'Connor is on paid leave right now, pending the conclusion of the investigation.
UNCW student-run newspaper The Seahawk is celebrating its 65th anniversary. Our Molly Jones has more. Molly?
Well, it's a very important time in student media on campus as UNCW's longest-running publication, The Seahawk, celebrates its 65th anniversary. In honor of this landmark event, UNCW Archives has put together an exhibit entitled The Power of Print and Pixels. The exhibit features both articles and publications from the long-running history of the Seahawk, and they talk about both popular culture and campus events. Today I was able to speak with UNCW archivist Adina Riggins to speak about what kinds of things went into planning such an event.
Our materials are not quite as accessible as the rest of the materials in the library. They are one of a kind and they have to be protected. Usually they're not in display cases, but they're actually on shelves behind locked doors. So we can digitize them and make them available over the computer, but if we want people to know even more about them and to use them more, we need them to come into our collection room, our special reading rooms, which are set up for these unique materials, and really find out what they're all about. There was a lot I could have covered, but I decided to focus for the most part on how the newspaper is a chronicle of our times. I captured the coverage of local news, state news, world news, just to show how much times have changed and attitudes have changed, and to broaden it as a student newspaper for the students, but also a chronicle of world and national events.
As young journalists, we hope that all we're doing, all the social media, web and print design, gimmicks and publicity, all contribute to the fight for relevance in a globalizing world.
What I was really interested in was the fact that Martin Luther King Jr. Was discussed on these pages and was planning a trip to Wilmington in 1968. The Student Senate was debating whether or not to sponsor him. In the end, they decided not to. He was assassinated and did not come. And so then on the pages of the student newspaper, there was discussions about the aftermath. There was actually some violence around the world and in the city of Wilmington that was commented on. There was an alternative newspaper that sprang up directly as a result of these events. So it's really interesting to see how student media engaged with these very difficult issues.
We just want to remain relevant in a world. We want people to hear our stories and we want it to live on.
I feel like this is going to be, in all honesty, the very last traditional exhibit we can do. Any future exhibits of student news will have to be, by nature, much more interactive.
I feel like we live in a time defined by our online presence, and as young writers, it's my feeling that we struggle to identify with that presence.
We will have to capture through screens all the variety of student news and of course keep that preserved for future so that we can have an exhibit 65 years from now, or not we, but our people who come after us.
The exhibit is located in the Special Collections Department on the second floor of Randall Library and will be open to students through October of this semester. For Seahawk Central News, TealTV, I'm Molly Jones.
Parents of 4-year-old Netta Sagases have joined the ranks of North Carolina parents who advocate for the use of medical marijuana to aid their sick children. Netta suffers from a condition leaving her functioning at the level of an 8 to 10-month-old and is unable to speak other than signing a few select words. Her parents, Annetta and Matt, say they are tired of the cocktail of medicines given to Netta, which all end up causing drastic side effects, including her current medication, which may lead to peripheral vision loss. Considering the dangers of these legalized drugs, the Sagases, along with many other North Carolina parents, are ready to try the alternative of medical marijuana. Matt justifies this by pointing out medical marijuana's low THC, the component that produces psychoactive effects, and its high CBD, the component with medical qualities. Unwilling to move to a state where it is legal, the Sagases maintain that North Carolina should legalize medical marijuana.
If you've been looking for an excuse to pamper yourself, this Saturday may be your opportunity. Atlantic Dermatology is hosting a block party to raise money for Kids Making It, a program designed to help underprivileged kids make and sell woodwork. The fundraiser will include a silent auction and blow-up bouncy houses for kids. Atlantic Dermatology will auction off goods and services with proceeds going to Kids Making It. The event is from 11 to 2 at 1099 Medical Center Drive.
The Wilmington and Beaches Convention and Visitors Bureau recently invested $21,500 this past spring and summer in a company called the Brandon Agency to conduct a local study of tourism in New Hanover County. The surveys in the study showed the effects of the recession with an increase in spontaneous trips, last-minute deals, and adult traveling without children. Results also included people being strongly influenced to base travel choices off social media. According to the study, the majority of the tourists who took part in this survey were found to be first-time visitors. The Bureau hopes to use the information provided from this study to maximize their advertising efficiency in the future.
According to reports, the disagreement between the Democrats and the Republicans over the redistribution of the federal budget may lead to a government shutdown come October 1st. In light of this troubling news, CNN has recently published an article listing 10 ways a government shutdown will affect the daily lives of American citizens. The list shows factors that will remain in place, such as taxes, the U.S. Postal Service, and Obamacare's implementation. Factors that will change under a government shutdown are also listed and include the closing of federal parks and zoos, no garbage collection in Washington, no federal loans for small businesses, and the payment of military personnel in IOUs until money becomes available.
In one of the biggest cocaine busts in history, French police found $270 million worth of the drug stashed on an Air France flight from Caracas to Paris. The bust, made on September 11th but not reported until September 21st, was discovered inside of 30 colorful suitcases and amounted to 1.3 pounds of pure cocaine. The suitcases did not match any of the passengers on board. However, according to the French Interior Minister, several people have been taken into custody for questioning. Venezuela's public ministry reported that the Venezuelan authorities also have suspects and have detained 3 members of the National Guard. Authorities from the French, British, Venezuelan, and Dutch police are currently investigating for criminal activity in connection to the incident.
Snakes on a Plane was just a movie until Sunday night. 370 passengers on a 747 Boeing jet from Sydney to Tokyo were grounded overnight after an 8-inch mandarin rat snake was found in the cabin of the plane. The snake was taken and exterminated by quarantine officials who confirmed that there was never a real threat to the people on board. However, it could have caused many ecological problems as a non-native species to the area.
Well, Seahawks, that's all we have time for this episode. Until next time, I'm Suzuki.
And I'm Anna Phillips saying, so long, Seahawks.